Let me find it.
Oh, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Angie Atkinson, and I am here with you, lovely and talented Lise Colucci. Lise, welcome back.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So, everyone, a couple months ago, Lise, you did this.
Mhm.
Lise did a video that was kind of, I would say, groundbreaking almost. Actually, she took loyalty binds, which is something that happens with step parenting pretty often, and she
Mhm.
combined it and she saw the connection that we all see. Well, we don't all see, but now we see, thanks to her, about how loyalty binds are also used when you're parallel parenting with a narcissist, and or I would say they are used to, as you mentioned before we got on our stream today, Lise, they were used, and I can now see this now that you said it, used to prevent children from loving both parents, sort of like
Right.
parental alienation.
Right.
Yeah, talk about it a little bit, Lise. Tell us what we got going on.
Well, I'm trying to open the chat here. I'll do that later. Okay. So what I was seeing was that there's something beyond trauma bonding that's happening with children attached to the narcissistic parent, and that when this alienation thing happens, and so I started researching it and wasn't finding a whole lot, except I started looking up for step parenting, like how to blend families and how to be healthy in this regard, right? And seeing that there's this thing that happens even inadvertently when you can have two healthy parents. This can happen just by the nature of the struggles of having a separation, right? And not really liking your ex. and
Right.
and so and then I thought about this, and I thought that is exactly what happens with children when they are in two households and they are have a narcissistic parent on the other side, combined with the trauma bonding.
Yep.
So, and then your own trauma bonding to that narcissist. So we've got all these things going on, and basically it is manipulations that happen, kind of really specific things that I'm just going to read here from the notes because it's
Yeah.
easier. So it's basically if an individual, a child, is involved with a narcissist and forced to choose between the one parent and another. And by forced, I don't mean the narcissist is like, you better choose me over your other parent. There, it's subtle. It's manipulative. It's being put in situations where there's a tug of war happening between the two parents.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here over here trying to chat to people.
No, that's good.
All right. Okay. So the other thing is, and your definition, your explanation is powerful for me. I did a little research on this topic, and I think you're spot on. I think it absolutely is this. And when I look at yeah, when I look at what happened to me growing up, which we talked about, what was that, last week or 2 weeks?
A couple weeks
Yeah,
ago. Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. Um, I totally see that. Oh gosh, and I didn't understand. Hey, Jack, thanks for being here. I didn't understand at the
No.
time, of course, but like I think I told you guys, it was not that long ago. I mean, it was maybe 6 months or a year ago when I fully realized, oh my gosh, this is what happened to me, and it's okay for me to be angry. It didn't occur to me because it was so ingrained in me, even though I've been no contact for over a decade. I think it's still the same thing. So
Me too. Yeah, it's the same. Exactly. I think when I was reading about it, I was like, wait, this
right.
goes hand in hand. This is exactly what I felt. And as from the position of the child for some children, it
Yes.
isn't that you want to choose the other parent. It isn't, it's that it's safer to choose the narcissist.
Right, because
And
they will.
yeah, and it's not safer, like the child's not thinking which is safer. The child's thinking which is better sometimes. I know I've heard of it where the child is just, they have said, well, over here I get this and over there I get that. And so sometimes it's better to have the that.
Yeah.
So in other words, they're being purchased and they don't know it because they're kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
It's yeah.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I know for me, I was not purchased.
No.
I it was it was guilt trip for me.
Yeah, I
It
was
was guilt
guilt
trip.
tripped too, but I've seen it
Yeah,
both. But like it can
me
happen
too.
in so many subtle ways or not so subtle ways. One thing I have written down here is that an empathic child will feel responsible for the parent's emotions and happiness.
Yes.
And also like it is a failure to that child.
Yeah.
To and in the I'll talk about it later, like some of the ways that it happens. Like there's kind of specific things that makes it different where it's not just gaslighting. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, and I don't know if you would, I think this is what I would, okay. So I'll just say, in my own situation, when I was growing up, like I don't even remember my biological parents being together, because I was less than 2, I think, when they weren't anymore.
Mhm.
But it was so I felt like I never got the chance to really know him, you know, and I also didn't feel super loved on the other side. So it's as you see me tiptoeing around these words, right?
Mhm.
Um, so weird, but yeah, it was, I was really not allowed to want to know him or
Yep.
to love him. I was forced to pretend I was on her side all the time. Um, Her upset was more important than how I felt. Her, oh, he did this or that to me, which was not physical, by the way. Only whatever couples do. They were children when they had me. I mean, they were
Right.
17 and I think, and 18. Um, so, or 18 and 19, something like that. But now I look and I have an 18-year-old child, and he's a nice, strong boy, but he's still kind of a kid, and I
Right.
can't. Being a child. So I know that was hard for them in their own way, but that's irrelevant here because, yeah. So um, the way that it was on my end, I think it was about feeling like I wasn't loyal, like I wasn't being loyal to her. I couldn't love her if I also loved him. And so like going from feeling, like, and there was a stepmom,
Hmm. Oh
one
yeah,
of,
that makes it even more complex. And then a stepdad, which makes it even more complex.
yes,
Mm.
yes, on both parts, yes.
On both
So it
parts.
was, yeah. And so, and the step people were fine. They were
Right.
fine. Um, and and one of them ended up legally adopting later. But I still, even just sitting here talking about it right now, have fear and guilt
Oh yeah.
about
Oh,
talking about it.
I do. I have fear and guilt listening to you talk about it because I'm like, do I want to talk about it?
Right. It's
Yeah.
still,
It's
I'm
still,
47 years old.
well, this is interesting. It goes exactly with what you're saying, and it's like it's kind of one of those statements with an exclamation point at the end. To a narcissistic mother, loyalty is lifeblood.
Yes.
Respect, competition, and power.
Hmm.
Those are the three pieces that go into this. You will
Isn't that?
me, right?
Hmm.
There's a competition, there's comparison, there's all of this win, in order to win. Not to
Huh,
win you over, like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to win you over, to win, right?
that's right.
And then the power that they gain from it.
Right. And it's not like they genuinely, in my opinion, it's not like they genuinely feel, I don't think. I mean, maybe it is for some people, but for in my situation, it wasn't like I felt extra loved. I mean, I know
No,
I already kind of
no, no,
mentioned that,
no.
but I pretty much felt hated.
No, this is about tug of war. This is
Yeah.
triangulation. This is a form of triangulation. And it's a,
Yeah. And
yeah.
yeah. And so in order to be able to feel love, I was required to reject the other person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was only temporary love. And even if I rejected the other person, I was still pushed in a different way to fully, because I would reject them, but then I would be sad about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would be this whole, wasn't what a mess. All right.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said it creates a tension in the child and high anxiety.
Yeah.
That's what you're describing. I mean, not just the
Exactly.
child, but when I say the child, I mean you could be an adult now and still even thinking about it have this feeling. But in children, this is what it causes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's scary to me, even like I said, even right now, I'm a little anxious. My stomach hurts a little bit. Feel a
Well,
little
that's
nervous.
because you have a loyalty to someone that doesn't deserve your loyalty still.
Who I don't even talk to
You
anymore.
don't even talk to anymore because of the manipulation that forced you to see the world through that lens.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
It's a powerful thing, and just to be able to identify it the way that you did, I'm just thrilled because I researched it. I found just very little out
There's not a
there.
lot. Yeah.
Right. And so we're going to have to put together some solid information too for our site. But I think that's what it comes down to is, feeling the conflict,
Mm-hmm.
feeling unable to make both parents happy,
Mm-hmm.
feeling the guilt of rejecting the other parent and the
Totally.
guilt of secretly loving the other
Well, yeah, the child feel what I said. The child feels enjoying another parent's company as a
parent.
betrayal of the other parent.
Yes, say that again.
The child will feel that enjoying the company of one parent is a betrayal of the other parent.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
And the problem is, you see, once this starts, it goes both ways.
Hmm.
So they could be with the non-toxic parent and still feel betrayal one direction. They can be with the toxic parent and feel betrayal the other direction. It sets up a betrayal cycle in the kid's head.
Yeah, and so you never feel like you're a
Hmm.
whole, like, yeah, you don't ever feel legit. Like when you're with, in my case, the few times I was still allowed to visit, which ended when I was around 12, I think, but it was intermittent before that. Um, the few times I was allowed to visit at that time, I remember being like, so stupid. I remember secretly wishing I could be constantly at the other parent because they didn't abuse or neglect or, whatever. And I felt, jealous of the step siblings and half siblings.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is it singles you out as different from the rest if there's children in the other house that aren't your siblings or that are your steps or whatever, and it
halves, yeah.
your halves, whichever it is. And I mean, and this can go as far as extending it into uh, resentment and loyalty. It's basically the narcissist wants 100% loyalty. They don't want you to have loyalty to anyone else.
Right.
It could be a new spouse of your non-toxic parent. It could be both of you. It could be
Yep.
a grandmother. It could be an aunt or uncle. That could be anyone that
Right.
they see as a threat to their what they own, which is the child.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Mhm.
And I remember my grandmother being that person who was almost like secretly helping me in a way. She would try to, she would try to say things like she would write my name on things with my real last name, which I've never been allowed to
Mhm.
use. She would, all that stuff. So she would support me, but then my mother would be mad at her for trying
Mhm.
to support me in that way. It was like this horrible triangulation stuff. Crazy. Uh, yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to share about this before we jump
I
into the
have a
chapter?
bunch of examples if you want me to just
Yeah.
bust through
Yeah.
them real fast. Okay,
Let's do
so
it.
the narcissistic parent, actually, so let me start. This can happen to anyone. It's not just toxic people that do this. It can be inadvertent. That's why we have to be careful how we talk about the other parent, even when they're toxic, because we don't want to be creating the loyalty bind toward us either. It's not
That's
healthy
right.
for the child, like Angie talked about a couple weeks ago. We need to have our own decision makings and see the toxic parent on our own, right? Okay,
Yes.
so a toxic person or a narcissist may tend to lash out um, in resentment, either by silence or by punishment toward the child for having loyalty at all that is shared with another person. They make their kids report the actions and the mistakes that happen in the other house. They dig for information about the other. So the child is now what? A snitch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. They don't allow healthy connections with the other children, like you just said, like your step or your halves or whatever.
Halves or
They
whatever.
don't allow, they will sabotage the connection you have with your siblings, your step siblings, whatever it is, okay? Your cousins,
Hmm.
grandmothers. I've heard of all of it. I've seen all of it happening.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Went away on a trip, come back, and mom has criticized grandma, cousins, and aunt. What? Like
Ah,
over what? Over nothing. Wasn't even there. Okay. Let children are triangulated,
mm,
um, given too much information, asked to make choices that include the other household. From your house or from their house, they asked to make choices about the other house,
mm,
about what they do, about going on trips, about this, that, or the other, when they're not even involved. So they're throwing themselves into your home,
mm.
but using the child as the pulley, so to speak.
Unbelievable. Yep. Yep.
Yep. Criticize the other parent. Negative body language toward the other parent. So children pick up, especially with moms, right? Well, also dads. Anyone who has hot and cold personality, the child is learning to watch the body language. Children, they're smart, right? They can pick up and read, oh, mom's in that mood, dad's in that mood, whatever. So so the negative body language every time the other person's brought up or or the child wants to talk about something that happened in the other house.
Let me pause real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
I want to say this. I experienced that same thing, but I wanted to say when children are abused physically in that situation, I think it's really important to know. I used to look at faces, my mother's specifically, and I could tell by the way she was holding her mouth what she was going to do. And so I think I thought a survival thing. I still think that. And I think that's why. Yeah. Yep. Go on. Yeah.
Oh, no. Let's see. I'll go real fast here.
You're good.
I'm trying to also read my writing.
Hey, when that happens.
Ask about the house, and I already said that. Discuss, let's see, refuse to be civil with the other person. Bring children into the argument and say, look how unreasonable they are. Show them things. Let them hear half sentences on conversations that are the tail end of arguments. So have an argument with you, walk into the room while still on the phone so that the kid can hear you're being difficult toward their poor parent, right? It creates, right? Make the child feel responsible for the emotional needs of them and other people, but really like make the child guilt trip the child. Put fear of abandonment into the child in a lot of ways. That's a subtle thing. I have a lot more that I can't read, but it's basically when they triangulate. That's a big one.
Yep. And it's so extreme, right? Like, and the worst thing is that growing up, I literally had no idea that it was wrong for her to do that. Like, I didn't even know I had the right to be angry. So
right.
I said that before, but
and you guys, you do. You have the right to be angry.
Yep. And yep. And you have the right to express it, by the way.
Even if it's 40 some years later.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And this is funny because like what I do is research, write about this topic. I mean, not just parental alienation, but toxic families, toxic parents, toxic, you know what I mean? Narcissism, etc. So like I feel almost stupid for not seeing it sooner.
Well, though, there's a trigger that happens. There's like a switch that goes off and all of a sudden a light comes on when you're exposed to something or maybe something happens in the world around us and we go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That was right. I was like,
yes. And it's so funny because I went and I looked at all my old videos and stuff, and I found videos where I've talked about parental alienation quite a bit, but I never connected it to myself.
Well, I didn't connect it to myself until you asked me live. Like,
right.
You guys, if you watch that is me discovering.
Right there. That's right. That's right.
And ever since then, it's kind of been on my mind of like, oh, no wonder I struggle with loyalty, like feeling like I'm allowed to be loyal to anyone, even though I'm extremely loyal of a person. But it's a weird feeling of like, if I do anything wrong, I'm breaching the loyalty and what's and I don't do things that are like overtly wrong. You know what I mean?
I totally know what you're saying. Yeah. I'm the same way. And I think it's really interesting. So this is an example from both Lise and I about how figuring out the problem can lead to the next step in your healing, right? This is
yeah, so, you can't fix it till you see it, and some things are harder to see, and it's not like you can we're not a book. We can't just open it and flip to a chapter.
Sadly.
We have to wait for the light to come on, whatever it is, and then be ready for whatever it is that hits you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's a powerful, okay. Yeah. Let's jump in the chat, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So hello to everyone. Let's just get started on the chat questions. All right, now's a good time for you guys to throw your questions in if you haven't already. Ellen says, I'm going through this right now. My children's father still does this, and we've been divorced for 12 plus years. I'm left out of life events. They feel guilty, even answering a text message. But karma is working. That's great news. Great news. Okay, now, Lise, let's do this. This will be helpful, I think. One of us will start at the top. The other one goes to the bottom.
Okay, I'll go to the bottom because that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and then I'll read down
That
and you read up.
sounded bad, didn't it? I'm going straight.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here. Let's go that way. Okay, go ahead. What you got for us?
The bottom. Okay, let's see. Lots of laughing. Let's see. I gotta find one.
Okay, I'm gonna go next, and you find one while Julia says, and Julia, welcome. I see you are a channel member. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we also have a private Discord server for anyone who is a channel member, starting at the $4.99 level, which is the lowest right now level, cost wise. All right, but you can have full access if you are part of that. So make sure that you go to the members tab and read that if you're interested. But join us there. But she says, Dad suffers from Mom, who is a narcissist. Thanks to your channel, I realized that Mom is a narcissist. I'm so glad that was helpful, genuinely. Yeah, go ahead, Lise.
No, I like what Cosmos of Compassion says. 100%.
Ooh.
I am allowed to grieve and feel any feelings because I'm human.
That's right. And you don't know that when you're a kid, do you?
You don't know that. And sometimes you don't even know that this thing is a thing until yeah.
Even when you know about the topic on an expert level.
Well, even when you know you're uncomfortable and feeling like for years, I'm like, why do I feel so obliged to protect? Like, what the heck? Forget that. And then I will not protect and just come out and say things. And then turn off the live stream and go, oh, what did I do? That was hard. but yeah, this is it. Yeah,
Self-awareness is so powerful. And this is why, I think you and I are both this way a little bit, Lise. We're pretty honest with ourselves and everyone else. Like, we are who we are on camera or off camera. Would you agree?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you get
probably, yeah. I mean, we try to stay on topic, but
I try to be professional.
I try not to cuss.
I try really hard not to cuss. Yeah. It's so funny. I must be doing a good job because people will get into group coaching and they go, are we allowed to cuss here? And I just start laughing because I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we can cuss here.
Don't get me started. Yeah.
Speaking of group coaching, have you had this discussion in group coaching or have you worked with
I've talked about it on occasion. Yeah, I see it a lot. It's just, no, for at least from where I sit, when I see it, at least then I can talk to people, maybe not like you have loyalty binds, but like.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah, or specifically about like the situation, like, can you see how this created loyalties that are now making you think you have to defend, protect, and whatever this toxic person that are now making it hard to go no contact with your toxic parent who is still hurting you to this day. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. So if anyone is interested in group coaching, it's ridiculously inexpensive and very, very, I would say it's full support. You get 3 sessions per week, optional, as many as you want. 1 or more, you're welcome to go to, I think. Is that right?
You can go to as many as you want.
Right.
The time divides, people talk, don't always talk all the time. And some people love to go just to listen.
Yeah. And it's Zoom face-to-face. If they choose, they can be on camera or not, but they can see you.
They can see me and they can see, usually there's a few of us at least on camera.
Yeah. So make sure if you guys are interested, check it out. You can talk to Lise through her channel or through here, or you can just go to queenbeing.com/groups to check it out. It'll take you right to the place where all the sign up is. But also reach out to Lise if you have questions. All right, moving right along. Kevin says he is a classic, completely alienated parent. I'm so sorry. Peggy says, I just didn't want him to die. I'm not sure. I think I must have missed part of that. I hope you're okay, Peggy. I assume maybe you're talking about your parent. Go ahead. What you got?
Darlene is saying, I know about not wanting to alienate the other parent. I really struggle with not wanting to alienate him, but not wanting to hide what he did to my daughter.
What did he do would be my question.
Yeah, what did he do? And
if I remember right, go ahead.
It's Darlene Kane, so if you remember.
Yeah, I think there may have been a physical thing that I'm not going to say out loud right now, but I think if I remember correctly, that was what that was. Darlene, correct me if I'm wrong. In which case, I don't think that you have to hide it, because your daughter might already be aware if she's not aware, and there was physical stuff that happened maybe when she was little or something. I think you still have to tell her, because this is not a lie. If you tell her factually,
Exactly. There's a way to
right,
say things that aren't
just say,
they aren't criticizing, they're just matter of fact.
right,
With
right,
with some then compassionate support behind it. Like there's a way to say, I don't think even if it isn't physical, even if it is narcissistic manipulations, I
right.
don't think we need to hide it from the children. I think it's age appropriate information that affects them. You don't
That's
want to
right.
be telling them, they gaslit me my whole marriage. That wouldn't work unless they're
Right.
adults and we're having an adult open conversation about it. But with kids, you might want to say, okay, so dad isn't or mom isn't is saying one thing and then pretending she didn't say it. How does that make you feel?
Right. Because if you say, oh no, mom's amazing, then you're essentially invalidating their feelings, right?
Right.
Right. And well, I think I talked about this before as well, but when my oldest son, his biological father and I split up. He was a narcissist. We split up when he was 16 months old. And by the time he was like 2.5, 3, he said, why don't I have a dad? All the other kids in preschool have a dad.
Yeah.
And so I went to a therapist and I said, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't want to mess it up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What am I supposed to do? And he told me almost exactly, you say the facts, you say what happened, you don't put your own emotions into it. And then you tell him you're always going to be there for him and you got his back and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And we did. I told him all those things. And he said exactly, because you don't want the child to resent you.
Mm-hmm.
And that, but you have to tell them the facts if the man's not coming to the child. Like,
Right.
why? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and they have a right to their history. And
Yes.
if you think
To
of
know
them,
what happened.
to know
Yeah.
what happened and to know who that other parent is, if it is something where it's a narcissist, they have to
Yeah.
learn to deal with it. They have to learn to manage when they're over there, and
Right.
they can't do it in the dark. So, but at the
Right.
same time, we don't want to say your mother or father is a stark raving narcissist and blah 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 blah, because then that's creating the alienation. They've got to learn a little slower, softer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Kevin says, tell me if I think I'm okay. Okay. Kevin says, our system is all about dog eat dog. It's not about helping each other. He says, I know many people do not want to hear it, but our system breeds these problems. He says, do you really want the system to continue? Do you want your children to go through it? I can already see my wife/partner children going through it. A college study literally proved that capitalism, okay, I'm not going to talk about politics, but look, Kevin, I understand what you're saying, but I think Peggy is correct. We are not a political channel. Thank you. Um, However, you are making one valid point, and that is that the system doesn't always, it is a system. And it's not always able to consider every individual situation. It's very difficult. So we have very good parents who have no access to their children. And we have really shitty parents, pardon me, who have full custody sometimes.
It doesn't, yeah, it does. There's no,
Right. But just from one perspective, there's a box. We don't all fit in the box, but they force us into the holes of the box kind of thing. So therefore there are certain best practices. Lise, you have any thoughts on this?
um, that we unfortunately have to work within the system, that complaining like we understand it isn't a fair, equitable, or even right system because they don't take individual cases into consideration. And I know people who have psychopathic exes with 50% custody of kids,
Yeah.
and I mean diagnosed psychopaths.
Right.
And
It's
the courts are like,
outrageous.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a 50-50 state, and that's
Right.
really frustrating. So I think that
Right.
is why it is important to teach our children not fearfully and not aggressively or by putting the other parent down, but simply teach them what behaviors are appropriate and what behaviors are not appropriate so that they can learn to set boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. And outside of what, the fact, just because we are not a political channel, and I would never
Yeah.
talk politics on this channel or anywhere.
I
I'll
don't have
say
the
that.
patience for it.
No, nor do I. And I, well, that's, we're going to talk about that. All right. But to Kevin, I would say this. I know in some ways I see that the system is still, especially in certain states, mother focused, mother, they will basically, unless the mother just literally is, laying in a gutter somewhere, they're pretty much going to, not every state, though.
No, a
Getting more
lot
and
of them are
more.
50-50 now, which is it's there's no right answer. The only right answer is
Right.
to see things as individuals, and they don't have the time, resources, or care to do so.
That's right. That's right. And on top of that, you will see. Well, I was just going to mention earlier when you were talking about a situation with with a psychopath. I have a situation. A previous client, she had her husband had committed suicide. Her She was obviously devastated. Her husband was a narcissist, and her mother then swooped in and, oh, I'll take the kids for a week or two, give you some time to kind of mourn and grieve, whatever. And she said, all right. So her mother came and got the kids, and next thing you know, CPS is at her front door. She had no food in the house. She just ordered a pizza for herself. She was about to go pick up her kids, so she was going to get groceries on the way back home. And of course, she hadn't been doing much cleaning because grieving and whatnot. Her kids weren't there anyway, so she was just kind of like, CPS came to the door, right? Walked in, took her kids, and long story short, the mother called CPS, and the mother kept the kids. And the mother still today has the kids, and the mother's a narcissist. You keep hearing from the kids, even though she's allowed to visit.
Yeah,
Disgusting.
it's disgusting. Yeah. They don't have a way of, well, first of all, this isn't recognized as an illegal thing to be narcissistic. So, I mean, you can be a jerk. No one cares.
Right.
So
and to Kevin,
it's frustrating. Yeah. It's a frustrating world, period.
Oh my God, it is. And I feel your pain as far as, I don't know how much he knows about, to Kevin, I want to say, he says, I never know how much is going to spill out on this topic. Like I said, it's completely triggering. I feel you. I feel triggered by it too in certain ways. Different ways maybe, but still similar ways, as my mother used the law against me as an adult. So even though I didn't have my kids taken because I'm not who she claimed I was, it was scary, and I'm still sick when I think about it. And it was many years ago. So yeah. All right, Lise, you got another one for us?
Let's see. Dulce Sueños is saying, thank you for talking about parental alienation. It creates ambiguous grief in the alienated parent. It's prolonged, ambiguous grief we rarely get to talk about.
Oh, I'm so glad that you shared that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like when I work with people one-to-one, this is my most it's the most delicate and kind of almost feared topic to have people come with, because your hands are tied. All you're dealing, it's really about exactly that, dealing with the grief and the ambiguous grief that you can't even really, it's just so unfair and so unjust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
difficult. It's more than difficult. It's life altering.
That is absolutely true. And, I can imagine how it would feel in the case of, thankfully, again, I'm going to knock on some wood here. Thankfully, my kids, they've been with me the whole time, except for my oldest who had some other issues, but he was here most of the time. But he didn't end up going with his father, and that was not his choice or mine. It was just his father wasn't there. But I did have sole custody, to be fair, because of a lot of other things. But he had the right to see him. I'm going to talk about my son. All right. Okay. Mima Dragon says that she is going through this right now. I'm so sorry, Mima Dragon. Ellen said, wait a minute. My stupid chat did the thing.
Mine did. I'm like,
Oh, Jay say, I didn't see your super chat. Thank you so much. I see it now. Let me see. Can I see the message? Oh, Jay say, thank you. I see a super chat from Jay say. I wanted to say thank you, and I don't know where I'm even at in my chat here. Jay say, I'm going to make sure I look for your name in the chat, see if I can answer your question. But in the meantime, Ellen C says, I'm going through it right now. My children's father still does this, and we've been divorced for 12 plus years. Did I do this one already? I think I did. Okay, Ellen, sorry about that. I thought I just saw it. Here it goes. You got one for us? Because I'm still.
I am like stuck on the.
Okay.
I need to find a better way to do this because my phone chat is like it's microscopic and
Yeah. Okay.
and glitching.
Glitchy. No bueno. Okay.
No.
All right. Let's see here. All the moderators. Oh yeah, Bonnie. I don't know what happened to your wrench, but I threw it back to you. I hope you got it.
We can do what I always say. Hey, if you guys had a question and we didn't get to it, can you retype it, please?
Thank you.
Even with two of us, chat is a challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. We love that you're chatting, though.
Yes.
Even if it's hard to scroll. Yeah.
Kevin says that it's obvious I haven't dealt with the parental alienation. The last contact I had looked like one was trying to accuse me of abuse and collect money. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Kevin. I think this is a very difficult, especially when you're just out in the dark by yourself and your former family is being kept from you. And I'm so sorry. I can't. I mean, I can imagine how terrible it is, and I wish I could. He said, I can't run away from it forever. It really hurts not hearing from my kids. That breaks my heart for you. It really does. Yeah.
It's hard. I know. Yeah, where we have a lot of people here who are the parents who have been alienated, and it's not. I would say for a lot of them, for a lot of people, just know your kids wish it was different.
Oh yeah, I would say 100%. 100%. Yeah. Wait a minute. Kevin says you have a point. Parental alienation is much more important when the kids are still around. No, yeah. Wow, that's so difficult. Okay. Kevin, you sound like you could use some coaching. I'm not trying to sell anything to you, but you might consider either going through Lisa's group program or even making a one-on-one appointment. It really sounds like you could use someone to talk to.
Someone to help. Someone on your side. I mean, really, that's what it is, right? When we're coaching you, we're just there. Yeah, and it's it's tough.
Yeah, but get involved in our free support groups if you want to. Come here every week. Lise, when do you stream? When are you streaming again this week?
Probably tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to talk narcissistic mothers in the near future as well. So keep your eye on that too. Okay. And
asked me for something that I thought might be good. Let me think. It was. Oh, it was something. Oh, I'll look it up. I'll find it. No,
okay.
That's like glitching in my.
Okay. Ellen C says, the narcissist parent wants loyalty. The targeted parents just want love. That's the truth, 100%. And the worst thing is that the narcissist or the toxic parent, they do not, in my experience, they don't make the child feel loved. They make the child feel obligated.
Or they make the child
guilty.
Like a sensitive child might feel loved because they're learning that love is something different than it is.
Yeah, that's right.
So they get usually anxiety and hyper attached.
Yeah. I did not go hyper attached. I went scared and obligated and guilt fog. Fear, obligation. I went
hyper attached, and I've seen it in children. The hyper attached, but it was anxious attached.
Yep.
I was not with me today. That's my biggest. Yeah, let's fix that. Okay, how? Yeah, no, there's ways. It works. It helps. It's just like the layers.
It's a process.
It's a process, and and as you have different people in your life, then the process speeds up and slows down. So
yeah, and I find that there's a certain amount of, that's a really good point you made, because sometimes people come, they say, oh, sometimes people come into your life for a season or a reason, and then there's some people who come in your life forever. So I can't remember the actual quote, but some people are here to teach you a lesson, and some people are here to be with you in your life. Like there are different, of course, people who are with you in your life can also teach you a lesson.
That's right. Hopefully that's what right. It's
right.
In a good way, in a healthy way. There's
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay, let's see.
Loyalty Supreme said it's so hard dealing with them when you have kids fighting for custody. Fighting for custody of my child because her narcissistic father kidnapped her and claims he has custody. So she has to prove custody to get to the court. Oh,
Wait. So the narcissistic father claimed custody but never had custody, and the mother has custody but doesn't have a way to prove
Or
it.
maybe there's split custody. Maybe there is no custody determined yet. Like a lot of people have to wait,
Yeah, yeah, or maybe yeah. And sometimes if you're not in like legally married or something,
Oh yeah.
um,
Sounds
yeah.
like a lot of red tape and horrible hoops to jump through.
How old is the child? Do you see?
It
Or
doesn't
did they say?
say. Yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
That's
awful. Yeah.
awful. Something I talk to a lot of parents who have been alienated from like adult children even, and like in the parents were together until the child was, an adult, and so but then the other, one parent says something about the other parent that isn't true, and it becomes this whole family mess, and it just it breaks my heart because these people like, oh, I don't get to see my grandchildren, yada yada, it's a really horrible situation, but
Here we
at the
go.
same time, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not listening to you, Angie. I'm reading.
That's all right. Read, baby, read. What you got? What you got?
I just saw some. Thank you, Jack, for posting that because it helped me see it. Piece 74 says, "Can you talk more about anxious attached? Do you mean a child is anxious attached to the safe parent? What I mean by anxious attached is attachment styles, and that's a whole nother topic. But it's
I
basically
have a video on it.
the way we
Yep.
attach, the way we, and it's gonna these are fluctuating things. It's not like I'm anxious attached, therefore I can't attach. It can fluctuate depending on relationships,
Yeah.
but often it's more like a tendency. Once you're vulnerable, once you feel exposed, you feel connection, boom, this attachment style kicks in. And as an adult, we tend to be more fixed. With children,
Right.
it probably is more fluid because they are more neuroplastic in their brains. But
Oh, wait.
there's
Yeah.
probably a tendency once it started to then follow that tendency. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
scientifically know, but that's my guess, right? That it's
Well, yeah, you're pretty much spot on. I've
yeah.
done a lot of research into attachment theory, and it was first brought to our attention as a society by Dr. John Bowlby and his partner, and so on and so forth. But anyway, they first figured that a baby would be anxious when they're away from the person who feeds them, which we all know that, right? But they don't. What they figured out, that starts as early as the first day they're born,
Mm-hmm.
and you see different attachment styles based on that first 20 days of life, even.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're skin to skin during that time, like we're all told, hold your baby skin to skin, it's good for the bonding and all the other stuff. Well, it also makes the baby feel secure. And so if your mother wasn't there, your mother didn't breastfeed, your mother, whatever, you could be anxiously attached starting because of that. And
Right.
then when we have like a situation, my husband, he was found in a phone booth at birth. He was abandoned by his birth mother.
Uh-huh.
And then he was in the hospital for probably a couple of weeks. And then he was in a foster home. And then his parents got him 20 days after he was born or whatever. So then at that point, of course, they loved him. They wanted him so badly. But he still has a little bit of anxious attachment because of,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't even know why, but it's
Right.
that. It's that first 20 days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I did a video on it. There's a whole bunch of stuff on Queen Being where I wrote about it. So go check that out if you guys are interested. We won't take up too much more time with that, but you're spot on in your assessment, just so you know. I'm kind of, yeah.
And
I
it's
figured
not
you already did.
something that it's something to recognize if like you think, oh no, now my child is anxious attached. What do I do? There's a whole lot of stuff you can do. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it would take hours to tell you the whole thing. So research
Yeah.
it. We can
Yeah.
maybe talk about it again, or I'll talk about it over there or whatever. And
Yeah.
Angie has videos on it.
Yeah.
But
And there's a lot of,
there's a
yeah.
lot of things you can do to help with that. But it's understanding and being aware that and learning behaviors like, oh, okay, that's their anxiety coming out.
Right.
Okay, how can I support? How can I support in a way that doesn't feed the anxiety? So,
Right.
yeah.
100%. Let's see here. All right. So we have Ellen saying, oh, being the targeted parent can be a lonely life, but my children know who loves them unconditionally. That is all that matters right now. I mean, not all, but that's really important. And I'm glad that you have been able to connect with them in that way, Ellen, because it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
And that will help them. I mean, even this is going to sound so silly, but I spoke to my biological parent fairly like soon after I had that. It was sort of because of speaking to him so maybe it was right before that that I had this realization. But he said something to me that like he said he was proud. And I was like, what? First I was
what?
offended, then I was sad, and
He said
like,
what?
he said he was proud of me.
Oh.
I didn't know how to feel about that. I was like, what? Because that was not a regular thing for me. So I can't talk about it too much because I'll get all weird about it, but I'm just going to move on.
Interesting
But it
that
is,
your mic cut out when you said that word too.
isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty serious. Okay. We're not going to be sad today. We're going to be happy because realizations and moving forward are very important stuff.
They are important. They hurt, but they're important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So, Darlene, I'm going to say this one from Darlene really quick. I know what you mean about not wanting to alienate the other parent. I really struggle with not wanting to alienate him, but not wanting to hide. Oh, you read this one. Okay, we just met in the middle. All right, I'm going down to the bottom. Do you have another one for us?
I'm looking. There's just a lot of back and forth chat that I don't understand what they're saying because it's, it's chat, not us chat.
Yep. All right, here we go. We're going to talk right here. The highly sensitive Wookiee says, perhaps we can do a video on navigating disability from the perspective of, I assume, a narcissist being involved. I'm going to need a little bit more information about that, but yes, we can definitely speak on that. All right, I saw one from Linnea. She says, it's the same for me. I finally went no contact after 50 some years and I still have guilt. At least I know I will survive that. The bad feelings I got from them were killing me. That is, I get it. I was 35, I think, when I made the choice. I think I was 35. And the reason I did it was not for myself. I wish I could say it was, but it wasn't. It was my kids. It was because my mother had called CPS on me they called it a revenge call because there was really nothing I was doing that was so bad. It was normal parent stuff. I had plenty of food in the house. I was not neglecting or ignoring or beating or anything because I would never, so they walked right in and talked to my kids and did all the stuff. And then they came back and they were like, we think this is a revenge call. Oh, there it is. So that's that very same day, something inside me, I physically felt something kind of snap. I know that sounds weird, but I did. And that was it. I was done. And I didn't even know what no contact really was at that time as far as in this light. But yeah, instinctive. Got one for us, please?
No, I was just reading the same one, I think. No,
Okay.
not seeing anything.
All right.
Okay. If we missed one, I'm sorry. I'm trying. Let's see. Oh. No, I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. I have this one for Kevin. So Kevin says he's just taking control of the money, so he can't really probably afford coaching. I'll tell you, Kevin, why don't you well, so there's a couple of things we can do maybe. Well, we're going to talk about that off camera. But join one of our support groups and reach out to us and let us know your screen name. Reach out to me. Okay, now there my chat just scrolled way up. Okay, that's fine.
I know, that's what I'm struggling with here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, highly sensitive Wookiee says, in regard to the preparing for the SSDI application process, that is a good one, a good video.
Claire has one. What do we do with kids that have been poisoned against us by the narcissistic mother? Are they full of hate, paranoia, and are suicidal? She withheld them during their teens.
So
they're adults now?
That's what right? I assume. Maybe she's are you a stepmom, Mama Bear? Let's know. Kevin, while we're looking for while we're waiting for her to respond, I want to say this to Kevin says it's intentional and overt. Intentional and overt alienation is just using the child as a tool. That's right. Yep. Exploitation, and it really hurts the child. 100% correct. Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're using the child as a tool. They're using the child as supply. And
they are. And it's a way to hurt the other parent.
They're using the child as a tool to get back and get supply from the ex.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
From you. Yep. Right? Yeah.
Yep. And I think if not that, then to hurt you, which also gives them supply, ironically. Yeah.
To win the child away from you, which gives them like a double supply, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the child, they don't see the child as a whole person. My mother still doesn't see me as a whole person, I guarantee you. And so that's, it is absolutely. Wait a minute, I just saw a comment said, Darlene said, wait a minute, hold on, I'm so sorry, guys. I just saw a comment. Yes, Lydia says to Kevin, it is misplaced. I have nothing to be guilty of, but yes, I feel it and I'm working on it. Wait a minute. Sorry, if you have something, go ahead and jump in because I'm kind of
reading. I'm trying to find
okay.
two.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Linnea says, wait, Mama Bear, yes. Mama Bear said yes. She is a stepmom. Okay. Really quickly, two things. First of all, I happen to know someone who's really good at or who could deeply understand where you're at right now. Just saying. And that person probably could really help you.
Who are you talking to?
I was saying to Mama Bear, she
Mama
is a
Bear.
stepmom.
Yeah.
She's a stepmom. And
Mhm.
so she's now dealing with,
Oh.
I think, young, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
I know who she's talking about.
So
Uh,
that's Lise right
Brahman,
there. She
yeah,
might remember. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Brahman
Not saying.
Atma,
Oh,
Brahman Atma. Everything you're
huh?
saying is spot on. I see it in my four kids. However, three of them are seeing the light. Yay.
Mm,
But the
yay for
golden
them.
child is not yet. Well, the golden child has a lot to lose,
It's
but
still coming. Yeah,
it's very difficult for that. Yeah, and hopefully they'll see it in their own way.
100%. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. It is very typical, as Jack notes. Um, okay. Let me, okay. Darlene says it definitely is a real thing. He constantly accused me of lying about narcolepsy and its symptoms. He even accused me of conspiring with a friend who I didn't even meet until after her diagnosis. Um, wow. Kevin says, I was shocked at how easily the family court took sides, and I
Mhm.
think it just made their job easier. Yes, and this
Yes.
is the problem. Yep,
Hmm.
go ahead.
No, yeah, it's they follow, it's almost like a template, right?
Literally. Yeah,
Mhm.
yep. And it also depends on the judge and the,
So in the state, in the laws, in the
yeah,
county. Hmm.
right, but also their personal preferences
Oh
or their
yeah.
personal beliefs. I have a
Yep.
problem with that.
I have a problem with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, absolutely. Audrey says, my parents attacked me in the apartment I got for them and called the police on me after making me flee out a window. I had to stay with them because my mom got me evicted from my apartment.
Mm.
I am so sorry. See, that's toxic.
Oh yeah.
Incredibly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we're getting on time. Oh, we're a little over on, we're still good with, okay. How are you doing on time? Are you okay? You got 5 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Mom, yeah. Mama Bear says it's so painful. I miss them a lot, but they bring such pain. Now, listen, I'll say something to you. I'm assuming they are adults at this point, um, and that you are. So this is the best thing I can say to you, Mama Bear. I would say, even though I'll say the same thing that I would say to any parent. Okay, if you want them in your life, and they aren't willing to be in your life, then what I would do is I would send them two cards a year, one on their birthday, one on some big holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you guys celebrate, or if they celebrate. And I would say in each card something to the effect of, I know you're not really into talking to me right now or talking to us right now, but we love you. We're always here for you. If you need anything, you know where we're at. That's it. Love, Mama Bear and Dad or whatever. You know,
Mhm.
I think that's in this case the best you could do. I wouldn't send a bunch of gifts. I wouldn't send a bunch of extra stuff. Just a card, a nice, plain, simple card. And if you want to throw 20 bucks in there, that's probably insulting. But I wouldn't throw any money in there. I would just literally, maybe a quick update.
Keep the
Yeah,
door open.
just
Yeah.
yep, yep. Like your dad's doing really good, and this is that, and here, just so you know, I wanted you to know I'm here, blah blah, whatever, and that's it. And eventually they'll come around, or not, but at least you'll be doing the best that you can to try to keep, as Lise says, the door open. Yeah. Got one for us, Lise?
Yeah, I'm trying to find one. Ah, they're jumping.
All right, I got one. Kevin says to Wookie, I completely understand social anxiety. Have you ever seen that guy with his baseball hat over his eyes looking down? Um, um, the anxiety is debilitating, says Chris. That's the truth. Kira says, I identify so much with this topic, sending so much support, validation, and compassion to everyone. Yeah, Ellen C says to Mama Bear, I feel you. I see, I hear you. Um, and I keep a journal. I love this. I love this. Here it goes. Um, Ellen C says, I keep a journal just for my kids. One day they will have answers and I don't want them to self-blame as I did in adulthood. I love it so much.
You know what? I know someone else who does that.
Yeah. Is it? Okay. Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this stuff you can't say, but your side of the story. That's all you can do. You
That's all you
know?
can do. Yep.
What to do. Like Kevin's there. Ellen, there's a very large infestation of narcissism in the world, indeed. That's
Absolutely. Something I did back in the day is I created a blog that I'm not telling you the name of because it's just for my kids, but it's out there. And so, and it's not about anything except like how things I want them to know, when I'm gone. And they may or may not ever read it, but it's out there. So, yeah, anyway.
I'm wondering if my social anxiety comes in the habit of not knowing where my feelings and the toxic partner begins. I can't. Therefore, in public, there are too many infringement on boundaries. So yes. you feel like in public, it's like such a big unknown, boundaryless, or like so much pushing going on that, okay, yeah, possibly.
Yep. Yeah. Highly sensitive Wookie says, my adult child still lives with my soon-to-be ex. So hard. I fear the manipulation he must be experiencing, and that I'm not there as a buffer. Again, I absolutely feel you on this, but I want to just reiterate, keep the door open. And I think you're saying to me that you and your child are so cool, and I love that. Don't overthink it, but just try to be there for him as much as you can be there, I think. Kira says that she's using her DBT skills, dialectical behavioral therapy, to help her manage CPTSD. Absolutely works, by the way. For most people, I was okay. And then, thank you, Chris. One more, and then I'm gonna let you go. If you have another one. Dolce says, one time in group therapy for anxiety, every single person in the group found grocery shopping to be a terrible ordeal, and I can relate to that. I can give you tips on how to manage it later, but that's, yeah. Go ahead, Lisa, got one for us?
Well, I was just going to finish. Kevin added one more thing.
Yeah.
Saying where my feelings and the abuser begins. So yesterday I did a video on how to feel safer and less vulnerable in the world after toxic people have been in your life. That might help you. So go over there and watch that. It's actually not up right this second. Give me a couple hours. I'll pop it back up. I just cropped it down so it's got all my sillies out. So there were a lot. That had some sillies.
I like the sillies.
I know they make them really long, so I took them out.
Fair.
Fair enough. But yeah, but it might help. So stay tuned. Check it out later. Yeah.
In the meanwhile, I have a bunch of several videos on social anxiety as well. If maybe Jack can pull one up, or if not, just put my name and social anxiety in the thing. Okay. A lot of people when they think they become agoraphobic, they just can't leave the house, and it's not always the case, but usually it's more like social anxiety that kind of leads to it. But if there is agoraphobia involved, it's a whole other thing, but you see it all the time, people who won't leave the house or can't leave the house after, where they go as little as possible. And I'm going to just tell you right now, if you guys are in an area that has Instacart, don't be scared.
Use
Instacart.
Use the Instacart. Yeah.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Anyway, let's see here.
Well, we're trained by narcissists to think everyone in the world is looking at us. Watching for every mistake we make, watching for all the flaws, watching for how we get this internal voice that becomes that is their words, then we feel like is our words at a certain point. And we got to shake that out, get it out of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wait a minute. Mary Wilson, I don't know what the question was. She said, I think not the first bit. Keep it positive, not the you I know. If I said something negative, I apologize. Okay. I think I'm missing part of this somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I think I'm missing.
I'm trying to.
Okay. All right, we'll get there. All right, so there we go. Okay. Mama Bear says thanks for the advice. That's a good answer, says I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know. I'm really confused. Okay. Reading the comments is so helpful. I don't feel alone, says Linnea, and it's great of all of you to contribute. Yes, absolutely thrilled to have all of you here. Kevin says, where my feelings end and the abuser begins. So painful, painful. Crystal's been through something similar. Yeah, guys, as far as Dana goes, I'm not sure what's happening right now with her, but if and when she comes back, we'll be collabing again, I assume. But I haven't checked her channel lately. Maybe she's back. She didn't tell me. I don't know. but that'll be, we'll probably switch days at this point because, all right. Bonnie says, Angie and Lise, wow, all I can say is that you've made a difference. Big hugs and love to you, Bonnie. Kira says, yeah, that does sound more likely. CPTSD is often misdiagnosed as BPD. Yes, that's right. That's right. Especially in women. Yep, that's right. They are both trauma disorders. But
what did they say? I missed that part.
Oh, Kira said that does sound more likely. CPTSD is often misdiagnosed as BPD or bipolar, especially in women. And they're both trauma. So bipolar is a chemical thing. It's a mental illness, but of course could be activated by all this stuff. But BPD is on the same spectrum as NPD. Actually, it's on the cluster B spectrum. But people with BPD still have empathy, even if they aren't always able to express it. So that's a big difference between, but people do sometimes get confused, and it's often misdiagnosed in both ways. So
right.
Be careful with that. Yep. All right. We're gonna have to wrap up, guys, because I've got to get ready to jump into another thing. But Lise, thank you as always. This has been really a great discussion today. Guys, make sure that you go over to Lisa's channel and subscribe. She's got some really good material coming and some good material already out there. And as you can see, she's very intelligent and amazing and awesome. So subscribe. And again, for those of you who are interested in group coaching, go to queenbeing.com/groups or talk to Lise directly. For those of you who are interested in any kind of coaching, we have one-on-one, we have all the different free support groups, etc. queenbeing.com/coaches, COACHES, coaches. All right, Lise, any final words of wisdom for anyone, or just
summed it all up? Thank you for
right on.
Talk today. It was a good talk.
It really was, and for Audrey, thank you so much. And for those of you who are still with us, please keep an eye on the reminders that Simmering will be putting in if she hasn't already started. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good. Oh wait, Lise, tomorrow you'll be streaming over on your channel.
Yes, I don't have a time, but yes. And
so you're signed up.
So I guess if you want texting notification, 33222, put the word Lise Live, LISE, hit send. And I will only text you right before I go live. I've been trying really hard to get to do it every single time this time. Less glitching. And then for this one, it's Angie Live. So same number, 33222, right?
Yep. Okay. Yep. All right. All right. We will see you guys next. Oh, well, Lise will see you tomorrow. And I'll have a video tomorrow. Okay, have a good one. Bye.
We'll see you. We will see you.
You'll see you. We'll see us. Okay.